Corey Cool, I represent Cool University, and I have a special guest with me here at the Cool table. Now, this guy right here is a man of many, many coats. I had to do a lot of homework here. I had to even ask some questions before we got started. But we're talking to the VP of Digital Marketing at Alamo Records. He goes by the name Drew DeLeon. Welcome to the Cool table. How are you, sir?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me and appreciate the pronunciation.
I got it right. I got
Yes.
it right.
What up?
Now, for those of you who don't know, maybe live under a rock or so, Alamo Records is they have a couple big names, over there.
Few.
I'm seeing Dirk is over there.
Yeah, shout out to Dirk.
Smoke Perp is over there. Rod Wave as well, correct?
Rod Wave, that's my guy.
Well, look, man, I'm not gonna lie. You ever watch the show Entourage?
Yeah.
So the director always goes, "Oh, you with the suit?" So I love to have, and I'm happy that you're the first suit that I get to speak to on this view. I got a lot of people listening and a lot of artists and things of that nature from my neighborhood and around neighboring, areas that I think could benefit from having you here. So thank you so much, man. Tell us about your introduction to hip hop. Was it who was responsible? Was it the neighborhood? Was it a sibling? What turned you on to hip hop and R&B music?
Well, a couple people. Definitely my uncle. This was around 5th grade. He carried like literally like a cardboard box of tapes. Ooh. And my middle name is Jonas. So I saw like this tape that said Nas. I was like, that's my name. And I was like, no, that's Nas. Your name is Jonas. So
yeah,
so that was the first kind of introduction to just hip hop. And then, growing up in the 90s, I obviously listened to Biggie. Like my uncle, he was about 9 years older than me, but he was in high school. So he would always be driving his Acura. The Acuras were like hot in high school. Rimmed out, and like literally put his tape on. I just remember just like listening to Biggie, Jay.
In the Acura too. That's the best place you could possibly listen to it in the Acura. It's crazy.
Yeah, especially because like they used to like soup up the cars. Like you got a subwoofer in the back. So I think for me it was more so just like as a kid just who looked up to my uncle who was like only 9 years older. I kind of looked at him as like an older brother, but I always just follow him around, and when I was in his car, I was like, "Yo, this is really cool. Like, what is this? I don't know what they're saying." And then when it came to R&B, which is actually like my first love, I would consider myself an R&B head. I remember when we were traveling to Florida with my mom, she literally put Boyz II Men 2 tape, and I was like, who are like these harmonies are just like, wow. I don't know what it was, but it was just like these guys they sound like it just sounded magical. Like the music just kind of like put me to sleep. And then I would wake up during the road trip from New York to Florida, just like hearing them again. And I just caught the bug, just like following Boyz II Men. This was 5th grade when I was around 11 at the time. So
wow.
Yeah.
So now, what part of the city are you from?
I'm from Queens.
Queens, get the money.
Yes,
Queens, get the money. Look, I'm official today. You know what I'm saying? I'm
official. Deep. Yes, respect.
I'm from Long Island though. I'm from over here. I'm your neighbor.
Strong Island, I like to say.
You know what I'm saying? But we there. We neighbors. We
neighbors.
To fast forward a little bit, it says that you attended Baruch, right?
Yeah, I went to Baruch University. Shout out.
Oh, okay. And what exactly did you study there for the people that don't know?
So Baruch, just for context, is a community school. It's a city school in New York. It's based in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. It's dope just because, at the time, like a lot of folks that couldn't afford to go to NYU and a lot of these bigger like universities, like communities were dope because they were super affordable. They subsidize your basically your tuition. You're paying like just things that were just realistic, but also still getting great education. So I just wanted to establish that. Baruch is known for a finance, like accounting school. And, I kind of came in thinking I was going to go into business, but like I've always been just like a marketing person. Like naturally I've been creative when I was younger growing up. Like I've always thought about ideas, how to just be an entrepreneur. Those are the things that always crossed my mind. But I think just the security factor and the fact that I was seeing a lot of folks just take accounting as
Right.
like a as a major, you know, as a prerequisites. Just, you know, my first freshman year, I would take all like the required classes, but I decided to take accounting for a semester, and I was like, oh no, you know, this like this assumption that Asians know like love math is wrong.
Not all
I'm
that. Nah,
Filipino,
that's not
yeah.
true.
No, and that's what I also realized when it comes to learning. It's like, I just want to just go off topic real quick,
Uh-huh.
that it doesn't matter. Like, everyone is their own genius, you know,
Right.
and you're creative, because I think we set up these tests, like these kind of like standardized tests and blanket tests, and for those that are very artistic, they might struggle in math, and just very kind of like quantitative tasks or like tests, but that doesn't mean that you're not a smart or a genius person in your own right. You just have to untap that. It's kind of just understand, like, okay, this is not what's not for me, but this doesn't say that I'm not smart. I actually like marketing. That's something I want to tap into,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So I just wanted to say that for the audience, that, you know, I think the way that, you know, education is kind of blanketed. It's like, hey, you got to get A's across the board, but why can't we just focus on the things that we're passionate about, things that we're really good at, versus like having to kind of waste our time on things that just don't really apply to us.
Right. Because now to kind of piggyback off of that, which was a question you almost kind of touched on, I was going to get to was,
Mm-hmm.
what is it about your course load or your time at Baruch that sparked in your mind that the music business is something that you would want to work in, or have start a career in?
I think for me, my music, like, interest didn't really start until after college.
Okay.
You know, college was more so exploratory, just trying to figure out like who I was, and kind of tapping into things that really like matter to me. And I think, especially for like a young 20-year-old, like, you know, we're so pressured to figure things out. So for the for the young folks, it's like, okay, like, don't necessarily always give yourself um slack for like not being able to like have like a game plan so immediately. And I think it's
Right.
important to test things out and like dabble in things, and like, okay, this didn't work, okay, cool, and to take chances in those things. So I just want to just kind of like state that, regards to just like exploring your talents and untapping what you're really good at. But when it came to music, it really started once I left college. There was this finance job, you know, because I had gotten it because of an internship, and I hadn't seen money like that before.
Right.
You know, like a salary. You know, me at one point was just like just getting like an hourly wage, and I was like, okay, well, this looks pretty dope, but what do I have to compromise?
Right.
And I compromised a lot. Like, I compromised, I think, who I was, who I wanted to be at the time. You know, wearing a suit every day, learning about just the finance structures and kind of dealing with the politics of that. But I still, like in anything, always find a silver lining. Like, for
Right.
me, my silver lining was understanding like how to understand numbers and understand spreadsheets, and be able to like kind of work my part of the brain that I didn't want to tap into, but I
Right.
was like forced to. So this was around 2006 to 2009, and I don't know if you remember, for the folks, for the younger folks, but just for context, this is when the economy started to like kind of switch around.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, the
Yeah.
recession kicked in.
Sure
Uh,
do.
yeah, so you know, and you know, working in finance, like I was like, yo, I don't want to be part of this. I remember 2009. I was like, it was like March, and mind you, like a lot of my friends were artists, DJs, and so forth, and I was like, I literally told my manager at the time that that this job wasn't for me. Like, even though I was good at my job, like I was promoted, I was just stressed. I was just stressed out, and
That's
literally,
understood.
yeah, had my conversations with my mom. I'm like, this ain't for me. Like, I can't do it. I can't wake up every day and just like,
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know, it's like, this ain't for me. And then um that's when I really was like, all right, I'm gonna lock from this matrix, get myself out, you know, go to California, you know, for at least a couple of weeks, unwind,
Ooh.
and just kind of clear my thoughts, because like I said, um I've always been, everything I learned about myself early on is that I've always been true to myself. I've always like, you know, trusted my gut, even though it didn't feel right, but always like look myself in mirrors like, Drew, are you honest with yourself? Does this make you feel good?
Right.
And for 3 years I masked that. I was like, I'm gonna just deal with it.
Which listen, man, a good paycheck sometimes will cause for some masking, a
Yeah,
whole lot of
yeah,
masking. So now, interesting enough, you just spoke on kind of not, even though financially it might have been working, you just didn't
right.
feel that it was you. So now, after having that conversation with your peoples and saying, you know what,
Mhm.
this is something that's not necessarily for me. How far after that did blank label, excuse me, records
Yeah,
come into play?
yeah. So during
And,
that
and, and
time,
before that, and I'm sorry, because before that,
yeah,
what was the thought process around starting your label? And if you don't mind, even
right,
give us a little bit about some of the first artists and such that
yeah,
you worked with.
yeah. I mean, I think for me, it started with my friends.
Okay.
So the way that I started in music was in music management,
Okay.
and my friend at the time was an aspiring DJ. So before even Serato, there was a time where people carried crates to like parties,
Ooh, good
vinyl.
times, good times.
So I don't know if anyone, like I said, if you're under 30, you may not remember, but um, this was a transition around 2009 when DJs or aspiring DJs got Serato. Serato, literally, you got downloading your MP3 from your Apple Music library,
Yeah,
and
Jack
then
move.
you're literally DJing everywhere. It's like DJing with a laptop, and basically everyone was just DJing.
Changed the
So
game. Serato
change the
changed the
game.
game.
And then it started naturally because like as a friend, you want to support your peers.
Right.
So I went out with one of my guys, and we were like, "Yo," he was like, "Yo, I need help, like talking to the manager at the venue." I was like, "Yo, I got you." Like, I was like, "Yo, my boy, like he's like a really dope DJ. Like, how can I get him to open up for a set for free just to get some like experience?" And I was good at just like building relationships with people. So I really kind of tapped into like those skills, help connect the dots, and I wanted to formalize it a bit more. So me as a bit just kind of just being business oriented, I didn't want anyone just to like, hey, this is like, Drew, Joe Schmo, like his boy, his
Right,
Frenager,
right,
you know.
right.
I was like, how do I get people to take me seriously? So I remember one time I was just kind of just like coming out with some concepts, and it was like, yo, blank this, blank that, and the idea of blank label just started because my goal was just like to like take someone from scratch and kind of build that person's brand, like
Right.
like really from scratch, like blank label, like you're just
That's a
like
dope
right now.
that's a dope concept, man.
So
I like
so
that.
so that was really the idea. And then for me, that's where music started. Like I had to learn the ups and downs of music really fast on, understanding contracts, working with DJs, and just understanding their personalities. And now it's not just being a friend. Like now you're actually like a business. You're in business together. So mixing like friendship and business can be challenging at times,
And listen.
especially early on when you're still trying to figure it out.
Right.
Sorry, I'm adjusting here. And I think for me that was like a huge learning opportunity. Just going from like a stable job, mind you, I'm still like hustling on the side while like I figure this out and starting my own management company. So Blank Label really started 2010, like
Okay.
around like late 2009, like December-ish, but
Okay.
2010 officially. But yeah, just officially started working with other DJs, booking them gigs, and eventually I kind of expanded my services to like helping market artists online. And during this time, this 2010 is like that's what they considered new media. Like digital
Right.
marketing was new media. Like Facebook was obviously 5 years old. MySpace was still kind of was still like relatively like something that people that used but didn't necessarily tap into. And mind you, this was before Instagram, you know because Instagram really came out around 2012. But yeah, it was like new media. Like how do you promote artists online? And I was able to like really be early on it. And like YouTube was just kind of launched like 2010. So it was just really cool
Right.
to kind of see all these social platforms that we use now really just kind of pop off around that time.
And it's also kind of dope because you stated that you initially started in just kind of management services, but
Hmm.
for someone who I mean, it sounds like initially didn't necessarily have, um, you know, a music background up to that point. I think it's pretty
Mhm.
dope that you decided to pick that particular angle to start with. So my question was, who did you have to speak to and kind of mentor or at least ask advice about these particular kind of avenues? Like, did you just pop up and just say, all right, this is what a manager does and this is what I'm going to do?
No, honestly, there was a lot of just trial and error. For me, I learned how to work and manage moods, because like working with
Okay.
an artist and manage relationships with artists is a learning curve. You know, it's a delicate process. Like you need to be able to talk a certain way. You need to be able to like have patience. You need to like be able to like really explain things repetitively and be over communicative, because sometimes they may not get it at first, and that's okay. But it helped me become a better communicator, a better manager, um, going through the ups and downs of managing, you know, the personalities of the people I was working with, from both the DJs, the artists, the producers, because you know everyone's just very passionate. But for me, it's being able to like take their ideas and like be able to like really just make sense of it and create like a game plan and structure, because like everyone wants just to do things now and wants to like make things happen
Oh
tomorrow.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? So I basically help ground a lot of those ideas and help kind of just like, you know, phase them out and like make sense of it. You know, actually like logistically, okay, dope idea, but how do we execute it?
Okay, so now after that, it looks like you had a little stint with Beats by Dre, huh? As
Mhm.
a brand manager.
Yes.
Now, first of all, um, that's dope as hell. Number one, you know, what is it like to be a part of? Okay, because now you're coming from, you know, your own infrastructure, right? Something you
Hmm.
set up, something you kind of watch and make tick and make go and keep
Hmm.
together, to moving to this kind of colossal piece.
Hmm.
Or I'm sure it was a totally different kind of work environment and things of that nature, probably even way different than your finance, you
Yeah.
know, time. So can you tell me a little bit about that transition, going from, you know, your own station to this big monster of a company?
Yeah. So just for context, this was around 2011.
Yes.
Beats by Dre's was like, probably no lie, the hottest headphone in the market. Like literally everyone on the
Yes.
street was wearing it. Was wearing it. You know, it started with the artists. You know, Dr. Dre. You know, all the artists from Interscope and you know would wear it in their music videos, and they're expensive. I mean, they're
I know
like
they are.
two
Shoot.
ninety nine at the time, but it was like a fashion piece. They were like Jordans at the time for like headphones, like you know, because people love bass and they're known for the
Uh-huh.
bass. Um, you know, like you're literally listening, it's like bass. Um, this is around 2011. You know, Beats they created a concept store in Soho. They had like a little like dope store. So,
Wow.
you know, there was a bunch of like a lot of creatives that worked there, you know, from different artists, fashion designers. I was a little bit older, so they kind of like promoted me to like help manage the team, and you know, I was working like under some dope people. But if anything, I learned a lot about how to like how like to integrate brands into like marketing, how to like work with artists and integrate, you know, cool event experiences with a brand, make it make a music event around beats. But more importantly, I think for me, I learned how to like really manage a team.
Okay,
I
okay.
learned how to like manage personalities and have those tough conversations and stern conversations when, you know, when you need them to do things and kind of step up. It's having them to kind of step to the side and like, even though like they may not like it, it's being able to talk to them in a way where like, hey, look, I see you're just like going through it. What's up? Can I, like, don't even talk about the work stuff right now. Like, how are you doing? Let's figure this out. And I learned to be a better leader. You know, I learned to like manage my patience, because for me, like I'm more of a doer. Like if you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it for you. That was kind of my mentality. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to step on everyone's toes.
Right,
Let's
right.
let me figure out how the best way to inspire people and lead them, but lead by example.
Wow. So your experience, so I'm guessing your experience from your own label was somewhat, I guess, kind of helpful in that position, right? Because now you're supervising teams, and coming from what you were just doing, you were just kind of getting that, you know, making the ship roll. So I guess that was, you know, probably extremely helpful. And it looks like, and how long were you there about?
Yeah, I was there from like 2011 to 2014.
Okay.
I think I kind of left just because at that point I was like, okay, I think this company is getting sold. This is when just right before Apple acquired them. So I decided to go independent, go back to Blank Label and start consulting again.
Let's roll around to about the year 2016.
Hmm.
Okay, you help found Digilog.
Yes, Digilog. Hmm.
Digilog, excuse me. Now, for those who don't know, this is a music in tech education platform, and it has outstanding resources for the music community. So, can you tell me just a little bit about maybe who helped you get it
Yeah.
together, who the your partners are, or partner
Hmm.
is, and kind of what you guys started, what the vision started as before it's
Right.
grown to me watching shit last night. But
Yeah, yeah.
your initial piece, what was your initial mind frame behind starting something like that?
Yeah, so this is around 2016. So I was consulting for 2 years already. And from a consulting standpoint, it wasn't just about consulting artists individually anymore. I wanted to figure out a way where I can kind of help artists as a whole and answer their questions and connect the dots because I was like, all right, it's one thing to help you, but how do I help everyone else?
Right.
And I was working out of this co-working space. So for context, it's like a shared space where creatives come together and work. Um, and I remember that time I met my guy Medvis, who's a co-founder of the Digilog. Um,
Peace, peace, peace.
yeah, shout out to Medvis.
All
So at
right.
that co-working space, they had a lot of events. When it came to just community events, very community oriented events. And I noticed the difference between those events and like the music events I went to. The
Okay.
events I went to for music events, I don't know if you've ever been to a music event,
I've been to a
very,
few. Sure
very,
do.
very cliquish. You kind of go in, you go to your corner. It's it's hard to connect with folks. Everyone's on their, in their own wave, like
Right.
not very warm or welcoming. Um, and I just wanted to change that. I was like, how do we create a place where artists and creatives can come and feel like themselves, where they're not judged by like what they're doing or where they're from, if they're from a label or if they're indie, who cares?
Right.
um, I want you just to kind of geek out about the things that you're passionate about within music. So for me, the first important thing was being able to create connections. So
Okay.
that was the first thing. How do we create a place where people can connect? And two is how do we get folks that work in industry? Now I'm not talking about professors, and I'm talking about people that are teaching you in universities, but folks that are working in the industry right now to talk
Right.
about what they're doing.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
not talking
Right.
about the VPs or the SVPs. I'm talking about the managers. People are just right out of college because they have their boots in the ground, and they're tapped into culture.
Right.
So
Right.
I wanted to share those insights from those people, create networking opportunities. And it really started with that. Like we started with like, a small workshop um, at the Microsoft store. This was back in, 2016, August. Microsoft has this really dope store on Fifth Avenue. And we did our first few events there. And eventually we scaled to like just other different creative spaces. And I think people were just really looking for a place to just like meet other creative folks without feeling like, they had to immediately pay for it. Because I remember going to like a networking event for creatives, paid, oh my gosh, $35 to like
Ooh.
tap in. And I'm like, man, this event felt so like forced. Everyone's just going in, conversation to conversation. Hey, nice to meet you. Cool. What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And the third, and I'm just like, no one's really taking the time to get to know anybody, because everyone's trying to like make most of their money. Like they're
Right.
trying,
Right.
trying to get more bang for the buck. Not to say you can't invest in yourself, but I just want to kind of change the model a little bit. So a lot of our initial events in the beginning, and still are free. And we understand that that layer of connecting has to be free, at least in the beginning, so we can at least establish the community first. Like you can start
Right.
seeing
Right. 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 Right.
easily, like, oh shoot, I saw you at the other event. Yo, did you like? And then people started to see each other regularly, and like started to collaborate. and it's been dope. Like for 4 years, like, you know, we've traveled across the country, you know, from LA to Atlanta to like, you know,
Wow.
Austin, Texas, Detroit, Charlotte, and you know, I've done different virtual events. Obviously, most recently with the pandemic, you know, we did something in Dallas and also Miami, and um, we for me, it's like it's just dope that music is so universal, but we also understand is also very local, where music is very different everywhere. Like it's different
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you in
yeah,
Long
yeah.
Island, different for me in Queens, and I want to hear those stories, and I want to be able to connect those dots, especially for cities that aren't necessarily known for music, you know, and because you know New York and LA and Atlanta tend to be like kind of like the hubs, but there's so many pockets of music of, you know, whether it's like the smaller cities like Charlotte or even like Baltimore, you know, I want to be able to create that platform for them to connect with other folks that are doing it, you know. I gotta say, give a shout out to the team.
Yes, sir.
You know, they were actually early attendees of my events.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the events like I help spearhead, but you know, I think a lot of people really understand the culture of it. It's like when I say community, like folks, like you go in the comments, like you know the people that are there, and it feels small
Right.
and engaged. Even when you know you saw yesterday, even in the group chat, like people were
Did.
just like
I did.
it was live, but everyone was like in good energy, good spirits. Like it didn't feel like combative or competitive. It doesn't have to feel like that when it comes to music. You know, and we're trying to create a space where we want to foster collaboration, we want to foster education, and foster and really empower you to really just be your own entrepreneur and be your own brand. Because for me, it's not necessarily about providing the sauce, because everyone has their own sauce. It's really
Right.
creating a starting point.
Right.
Uh, if you just need a compass, like to at least know where you're starting, it's a lot easier to go somewhere versus not knowing.
So shortly after the start of Digilog, right,
Hmm.
you have the opportunity and the chance to work, and this is at no shade of anybody else, but at the most celebrated
Yep.
record label in the history of hip hop music.
Yeah.
Please, as director of digital marketing now, so now we have
Yeah.
definitely leveled upon leveled up at this point.
Yeah.
Um, please, can you take me through number one? How was that opportunity brought to you? And two, can you please tell me what it was like
Mhm.
moving from, now understanding how independent things work to another colossal
Right.
machine? And I might have to ask you, I need to know all about that joint, but at least start me there. How did that
Yeah.
opportunity get to you, man?
Yeah. So for the audience, you know, I started working at Def Jam, obviously the most recognizable hip hop and R&B label.
Absolutely.
Um, and honestly, I got the job because of the Digilog. Funny enough, um, you know, the person that hired me saw all the great things that we were doing for the community, and
Wow.
they really saw like how, you know, savvy we were digitally. You know, like they're like who's managing all this. So JD, who's the person that hired me, was literally DM my Digilog account. It was like, hey, really
Wow.
interested in learning more about this, can we set up time to chat? And we stayed connected, and I told him like I do consulting for artists on the digital side, and he really took a liking to like what I
Oh yeah,
did.
they had to grab you. Oh yeah, that's yeah. The way you
Yeah.
explain that, yeah, they had to grab you.
During this time, this is right before Kanye kind of dropped all his like literally dropped 6 projects
Oh
over the
yeah, we
summer.
did the joint for they did what, did Nas and Pusha T, Tiana Taylor at that
Yeah,
time. Was it? Yeah, it was a nice little bit of a batch of music there. Yeah.
yeah, just like about like a series of projects over a course of like 5 weeks, um, and it started with like Pusha T's project Daytona.
Right.
So I basically came in, you know, literally
Woo.
threw me in there. I was like, hey, help support me. And I was like, okay, you know, and then you know it's one of this fire or flight. You gotta learn. And then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna just kind of like put my head down and just work. And that's what I did. Like, you know. And I think in any new entity, like if I just want to give advice, like you may be like the big shot in your own town or whatever, but when you go to a new, like you can't have that mentality. Like you got to humble yourself. Like I literally was like, I'm a student of the game. I'm coming here like the intern, and I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna like speak when I need to, but I'm not gonna come in like I know shit. Like even like, I had to like really kind of assess the
Right,
environment
right.
first, like know how to talk to people, know how like the culture works. Like you can't be like you know bumping shoulders and like stepping on people's toes without understanding who you're
Right.
talking to. And in any new environment, it's not about just sending an email. Like literally, I encourage people like when things get back to normal, like go to that person's desk, like yo, talk to that person about like, hey, you know, you know, I've been following up the artwork. Did you get a chance to like take a look at that, or you know, like, or like just
Right.
build relationships with the people that you're working with. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna send this email to that person, expect them to respond. Like, and that's what I did. I really worked the building, you know, be able to build relationships so they know like when I'm actually like reaching out, like, oh, this is Drew. He does digital marketing. Like he needs these things.
For those who might not know, right? Being a digital marketer, because now, funny enough, social media, all these things really add different elements in in the structure of probably what it is that you do. Can you kind of explain to the audience what your job, let's say, was, particularly with what, once you move to now this big, huge machine, who is, you know, itself coming off of the old distribution methods on what it took to market a person, radio runs, in stores, the old days,
Right.
can you kind of explain kind of what your responsibility was in this new climate?
Yeah, I think it's two. I think it's twofold. I think one is was really the education part for both the artists and the other departments of the label. You
Okay.
know, like for example, why should we invest time in YouTube or in like new platforms like Musically, which is now TikTok? Like, why
Okay.
are we doing these things? What is Triller? Like, why are we doing these things? And new marketplaces for like music discovery, letting them know like it's not
Right.
at Tower Records anymore. It's not to say that that lifestyle marketing isn't important. It's just understanding like new points of discovery for artists and to be able to like take advantage of it from a digital standpoint. So there's a lot of educating. It's a lot of just being able to like switch gears from a lot of like the old methods of marketing, and understanding that it's really about connecting the dots between digital marketing and streaming. you know
Okay. Okay.
because the way that people consume music now is by streaming music. It's not about just selling CDs. It's about really saying like, okay, if there's a kid who's watching or seeing this piece of content on Instagram with a song behind it, and they're sharing this meme, and all of a sudden there's a point of discovery for this song because you know it's something that's going viral that might trigger a song on Spotify to go spike up. It's like those
Wow.
type of things that that we have to pay attention to. So as a marketer and as an educator, it's one, understand that new things are popping up. Two, educating my artists and also the rest of the departments. And three, but also connecting, at least for me, being more well-rounded to understand like how to like understand marketing and the return on investment of like what you're spending, and tying that back into like music consumption. Like if we did XYZ marketing wise, this is what we're getting on the Spotify Apple end, on the YouTube end, you know, as far as music consumption. But it was an ongoing thing. It's still ongoing. You learn something new every day.
Right.
There's new features every day. So for me, it's always being a student of the game. I'm glad that even now, like I have a team that has their boots in the ground, but I'm never settling to like not feel like I know it all.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
I only pass knowledge that I've learned, and I'm always having another. I have my ear to their streets. Just like, oh, this is new.
Got
Okay,
to.
cool.
Got to.
Yeah,
And I hear you got the chance to work with my DANILEIGH over there, huh?
yeah.
Lord
So
have mercy.
yeah,
God
DIGILOGUE.
is good. God is good all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
it was interesting time because Danny honestly wasn't even a priority when I came in.
Right.
Um, and the fact that I saw her at South by Southwest, I was like, yo, she's dope.
Okay.
Like, because I saw that one she could dance. You know, she was kind of like this hybrid singer rapper, and she had swag. You know, for a woman, like she would wear like tom. She was like a tomboy, but she
Yeah.
dressed fresh. Like, you know, but you know, boys still loved her. Like, but she like women loved her. You know, she appealed to the masses. But, you know, for her, like her real big break was when she did the you know, in my feelings challenge. She was dancing outside the car, and
Yes. Yes.
that went really viral. But a lot of viral things can go viral. But what we did is like we really just rode that wave, put music out. She put out Little Baby, who was just like that big record featuring Little Baby eventually with the remix, and just really pushed it. We built audience with her. You know, she went on tour and did a lot of marketing initiatives.
That's actually really that's a really good space right there to piggyback kind of off of her audience. That's definitely a real good space.
Yeah, no, and for sure, I think really tapped into the dance community because the dance community like really loved her, and
Right.
you know we knew that. So like for example, we created a Dance with Danny playlist, which exists till to this day,
Nice.
on Spotify, and tapped into her interests and figured out who her audiences were, and just kept things moving, kept things consistent, and kept putting out content. And then when it came down to um, you know, Easy
Yeah,
was
got Chris Breezy on that. Chris Breezy on that. How you
Chris
get that
Breezy.
there?
I mean, shout out to
Crazy.
her and obviously being able to put in the record. But Chris has been on a lot of records.
Yes.
But I was like, guys, this record is special.
So I thought that there was a real
Connection,
chemistry there.
connection, yeah, yeah, definitely. And like I said, it was very a simple. It was a simple video when you think about how music videos are just like run or
Right.
created these days. But it was the simplicity of it, and like I said, we pushed it. Like, you know, we came up with so many marketing initiatives, and you know, for a lot of folks, like for me, was it was important to educate the rest of the label. Like, hey, this is what's happening. You know, 1 million views in 24 hours. Like
Right.
this that and the third. People are
Whew.
tweeting about it. You know, rode that wave, and you know, Chris went on tour. I was like, yo, let's market against his audience that's going on tour, making sure like, you know, we're leveraging his community because they're tapped in. Like we know that it's not just him being on a feature. Like he has a huge global audience that we need to be able to like also
Right.
like connect the
Right.
dots with Danny's, and there was like a very nice synergy between the two. And you know, I'm blessed. You know, shout out to team. You probably see the thing in the background, and that's really a team effort. So shout out to Danny and you know just being a great artist to work with, trusting the process and trusting us to like help, you know, bring things to light with like getting the record to now almost double platinum.
Here we are, present day,
Mhm.
Alamo Records, VP of Digital Marketing here,
Thank you. Yep.
right? Speak to me about a how that opportunity came. What made you decide to, you know, we want to be nice to everybody, but you know, what was your decision making
Mhm.
behind walking away from basically the most celebrated hip hop label that there is, known to the community, to another strong label, but newer to the culture as far as things go.
Yeah, you know, for sure. I mean, I got a shout out to like Todd Moskowitz who runs the label. I mean, he's a former Def Jam alum.
Todd,
Them is that they were already like making some noise with obviously some of like the SoundCloud rappers with Smoke Perp,
yes,
Comethazine, and I think for me, I was more so interested in more of a boutique type of like situation because that's where I came from,
right,
right? You know, I came from the independent. I'm glad I also had a chance to learn from a major, but like I like to work in smaller groups where it's like you kind of just like a platoon, like you can get things done a lot faster,
right.
and everyone kind of works together in that respect. So there was a really cool opportunity, a promotion opportunity for me as well, and you know, and having known like artists like Rod Wave, who are bubbling right before I came, because he started really bubble. I think that summer of 2019. with like Hard on Ice, which really started to take off that record. And then his project Ghetto Gospel, that went really, that did really well. And then yeah, and then I think starting since then, having a chance to obviously work a couple months with them in office, but obviously we had to pivot because of the pandemic, and
End of
then
the world, yeah.
and really just tap into like my marketing chops to like work with Rod and figure out how we can break him as an artist. I like to say he's the rookie of the year.
Okay.
Little Baby is the artist of the year for sure, but I like to say Rod is like the rookie of the year.
As this pandemic goes where it goes, and we're at the beg and mercy and call of what the world gives us, what do you see, or how, what do you see for Digilog going forward? And
Yeah.
what do you guys plan on doing with that?
Yeah, definitely. We're super excited because I think with the Digilog community is that we understand there's like we have a very diverse audience, right?
Yeah.
There's one group of the audience, artists, music creatives, videographers, producers, engineers. They fall under that bucket.
Okay.
And then there's the other bucket, like ourselves, digital marketers like you, A&Rs, publishers, people that work on the business side of things,
All right.
um, who are looking for jobs, looking for like mentorships,
Mm,
education. We know that, and we know that at least the three things that we do offer is one, education, and that's
mm,
with our webinars. Um, Two, when it comes to like artist discovery, we have our weekly playlists, our Digilog After Dark, where we've been doing basically just spotlighting artists from different regions. We did,
nice.
um, we did, was it Nigeria like 2 weeks ago? Like
Wow.
it's being able to like really create a platform for like independent artists to like get their music heard, and that's eventually going to expand into like more virtual live music opportunities on Twitch. We're doing some things later this year. I'm sorry, top of the year, we're gonna do like artist of the week.
Nice.
We're gonna do editorial stuff, like just really more opportunities for independent artists to like be recognized on the platform. It's gonna be curated, of course, but
Right. Right. Right.
it's gonna give them more spotlight. And then when it comes to like the music career stuff, I don't know, you see our music career Mondays, like we
Okay.
post our job listings.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Yep.
Today we put out a second round, so now we're doing music career Thursdays just because you
Yeah, man.
know
I'm gonna send mine in, man. Where I'm getting my resume nice and typed up, man. It's going in there, man. It's going in.
people, at least people in the music industry, they're like there's no really like a hub for like music career jobs, and we're providing that. We're looking for these jobs, we're talking to these labels, we're talking to these different companies and saying like, hey, what do you need, and how do we help you fill these positions? So we're providing those listings, and we're also building out essentially like a music career agency to help place people for those jobs. We're being able to, so what I'm saying is that we're able to service both, and in doing so, we're going to be launching an app, hopefully like mid second quarter of 2021.
Fire. Fire.
um, so essentially it's like the LinkedIn of music and tech.
That's
so
fire.
so
That's
for people
fire.
like me and you can connect. But it's one thing just to launch an app, because I'm not, anyone can launch an app, but no one can replicate a community. And
Well, that is a huge piece of it. Is yes, a lot of people could do a lot of things, but I believe that what you guys and what was your partner's name again?
Medvis.
Medvis. I gotta get Where Medvis at? We gotta get Medvis on here at the cool table at some point in time. But um, you guys have a real grassroots approach to this. You guys earned the right to do an app. Uh, Here at the cool table, I like to dig into a person's history. Right? We got what we came to do. But it's one line of business we have left, and that is the quick six. So, Drew, let me tell you a little bit about the quick six. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to throw out six little questions. It's either this or that.
Mm-hmm.
You give me your answer, we move on. Simple enough?
Oh, simple.
All right, here we go. Drew De Leon,
Yes.
Quick six. Here we go. Hot or cold?
Hot.
There we go. Hot. Hot like Florida hot where you can't get away from it, or a New York summer day where at nighttime we good again.
New York summer hot. That's all I know.
All right, here we go. Cash or the debit card?
Debit card.
Hey, come on, man. You in the rap? You never walking around with the racks? You don't got the got the
Nope.
back. The racks today.
No.
All right. Major label, independent label.
Independent.
Okay. Yes. Smoother work environments. A lot more work. Well, I guess it's relative, right?
It's relative. I mean, everyone has their take on things, but I like more responsibility.
All right.
And
You heard that?
more ownership too.
Drew said he wants more responsibility, so give it to him. Medvis, you heard that? He said he wanted more responsibility.
Yes.
YouTube, Netflix.
YouTube.
I know. Go down a rabbit hole. Rabbit hole.
Yes. Rabbit hole.
Cassette, vinyl.
Cassette.
What? You threw me for a loop there. I thought you was going vinyl, man.
I grew up on cassettes. I have to I have to respect what I grew up on.
Last one. This might be a tough one. If you can't answer it, I understand because people have obligations. But we're going Spotify, Apple Music.
I'm as a user, I use Spotify, but I actually use both.
Okay.
But I use Spotify more because it's a lot easier for me to create playlists. But I use both.
Drew, you have completed the quick six. Clap it up for my man Drew.
Appreciate
Big
it.
time. Listen, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me.
And explaining your journey, as well as dropping some jewels, man. Because I always the people behind the music is where I'm headed. I want to speak to those people who are responsible, for the movements that are going on. I think that's so commendable. And if you can you please share all the social media things where you want people to find and to look into, please?
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, thank you again for having me. I'm always appreciative. I think for me, the most important thing, and this is for the audience too, is like, doesn't matter where you are in your career, whether you're starting or if you're even in my position, like there's always an opportunity to pay it forward and give back. So I just want to say that. Two,
Right.
The Digilog, THEDIGILOGUE, is really, like I said, a community-driven family, like to say, because we are a family. And more importantly, just passionate about seeing people win and uplifting them. So that's what we're really about. I know it's a competitive business, but we want to make sure, like, we give opportunities, especially during this time when it's very, very challenging as artists to find resources to get spotlighted, to find, create discovery, and also for the folks like music professionals like us to look for jobs. We just want to say we're here for you, and just make sure to tune in and follow us. So thank you for the opportunity to share that.
Oh man, yo, we appreciate you. We're gonna do this again, man. We're gonna, after you catch a few more W's. Now I know it's gonna be harder to catch you. All right, I got you now. I don't know. I'm sure the availability gonna change. We'll be like, oh man, Drew, what up, man? You don't remember me, Drew?
Always.
But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sitting at the cool table, Drew DeLeon.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.